Also, everyone, I just want to go over another one of our fundamental basic blocks, Soto-Uke today, and again going over those three criteria. The first one being simply the technical course that's conventional that we expect and the shape, etc., etc. The second one being the application, obviously, that's very important. And the third one, the one which I'd like you to think about more, is what's it doing to our body in a developmental sense. In other words, which muscles it's engaging, which muscles it's teaching to free up, the chain of command it's trying to give our body. These are the things which I think our Kihon is extraordinarily well designed to develop in us. You know, perhaps these are, you know, the so-called hidden secrets of our technique. Not that you're going to twist a certain thing to give a certain impact, but that you're going to link certain muscles with other muscles and certain body mechanics with their subordinate body parts. Anyway, so Soto-Uke from a purely basic technical perspective, obviously the fist is about shoulder height, meaning that the blocking surface is around about low sternum or solar plexus. So meet halfway, this arm should be here. Some people do it out here, but the problem with that is, as I'll go into more detail later, is that it starts to become about the arm and it starts to swing. What we want to do is have this arm light. The focus of our intensity and power and everything else is of course here. So if we go bigger and bigger and bigger with this arm, that focus moves away from the center and we end up dominating with the arm. What we should find better is to have a light arm, So as we move, we need to think about basically the source of the movement, which is going to be the hip rotation. Everyone will agree with that. However, many of us will hold that hip back. And that's the problem. We're moving forward. We end up making this the big deal. Sure, it comes up. And it comes up to about here, roughly almost grazing the ear. And then, of course, it extends to roughly 90 degrees. And I would say that 90 degrees is absolutely the minimum. You can go a little bit more than 90 degrees. You don't want to go less than 90 degrees, because less than 90 degrees will bunch it up and you certainly don't want to draw it in towards you. You want to reject it with the body, and that line of the body is going to be influential in the angle of the arm. So there's your basic movement. Midpoint, hip should be square, arm extended, this hand roughly grazing the side of the head. Full point is here, the finish is here. Bit more than 90 degrees, shoulder height, and obviously in Humvee. So there's your technical shape, very easy, got it straight away. The application, of course, is also easy. You know, you're blocking something, which is the block we use all the time in Kihon. It's the most common block we're ever going to use because it's so very effective. But what our Kihon is teaching us in bringing the arm up here is how to free this arm. This is a very important point, because what we have to understand, rather like Agi-Uke, is in Agi-Uke we would never block up like this exactly as we do in our Kihon during a match or during a situation or during many things, unless we're attacking with it. Likewise with Soto-Uke, we're never going to be in a match, bring our arm to here before we block. We're going to do it from here. So why then don't we just simply do this when we're doing our Kihon? Why is it necessary to bring this up? And that's something that we have to be comfortable with. Otherwise, we'll do Soto-Uke conventionally thousands, if not millions of times in our life, and we won't really believe that this is necessary, unless we have a reason, or unless we're training on something. And that's the whole point. When we're doing our Kihon, we have to be working on something. So basically what gets disregarded is the very thing that we want to focus on, which is our hips. And no one will say they disregard their hips. However, when you do this, you're disregarding your hip. When you do this, you're focusing on the hip. You see, that brings you to the center point off which everything comes very quickly and very suddenly. And your limbs, legs and arms, just do as they're told, which is what they're supposed to do. Now, we want to get this arm light. And then you can use this sort of, contrasting elements, light and heavy, focused and relaxed. Focus here. Elbow, should it be focused? No, it should be relaxed. Should the arm be light as opposed to heavy? Well, it should be light. So if you take those things to their extremes, light arm, heavy body is going to be the right contrast and the right relationship. So, first of all, turning that hip sharply is an absolute, literally a prerequisite. When you turn your hip sharply, you square your body up so both arms become evenly involved. What you don't want to do is go back here, not showing much body, but then having to turn all the way around just at the crucial moment. So at the crucial moment, you should be able to change your mind. Maybe hit with here, obviously continue the Soto-Uke with here, which is what we're working on, but nonetheless, you need to have those options. So turning that not only squares you up, not only balances off the right and the left body, but it also creates a bit of centrifugal force, which sends this elbow up. And that's the important thing to remember. You're not lifting. Unlock, unlock, unlock. When you twist your wrist this way, you lock your armpit. So the opposite of that, twisting it the other way. You know, as you go up the ranks, you can do what you want with that arm and still maintain the same sense of engagement. But for a basic beginner or for an advanced practitioner wanting to practice the extremities of his movement, that's the unlocking motion. And the unlocking motion doesn't come by lifting it, because then you're tensing up here, and you don't want to tense the outside of your body. You want to keep the outside of your body relaxed so you can move sharply with a free movement, but with absolute precision. So when you're going back, cut that back, the arm pops up, the body moves as it should, and you have obviously control in the center, because the center is doing all the work from start to finish. As soon as you start lifting this, it means the center's not doing the work. So you have that. If you're using your center well, you have these options. For example, going forward, you can hit with this hand, obviously off your center, hit, then knock out round the neck. Because if you hit on the first one in the solar plexus well, the head will come forward, and then you've got the neck to hit as well. So going forward with Soto-Uke becomes an aggressive movement, as it should be, because you're driving forward. Going back, of course, this hand can keep something at bay. It can you can hit on the way back. If you go down and shoot it out from the belly well enough, that can be a hit also. So it's not necessarily black and white in that sense. But nonetheless, obviously, when you're going back, you're more likely to be defending. So as you go back, this arm is not going to reach out. There's a tendency to reach on both. This arm simply elongates because it's no longer tense, because it's no longer at the final momentary locking stage. You know, it might have been focused here, but it's no longer tense enough to pull back like this. Try and do all the pulling back with this. That's not to say pulling this arm back wouldn't influence the technique in a positive way. However, we're looking at why we do things in a conventional, standard, textbook procedure. And the textbook would show that arm extending. So you can just let the weight of it leave it behind. They're not contradicting each other or in conflict with each other. They're simply being manipulated by the center. So, you know, very often I'll just work on unlocking, reconnecting. By the twist of your wrist, you unlock. In other words, you release any tension you have in the armpit. Armpit tension, no tension. Shoulder tension, not good. Armpit tension here to bring it into the body. Unlock. So when you're warming up, you know, try to see how you can get that arm just in sync with the hip motion. Just in sync with the hip motion. Just in sync with the hip motion. You can work on your hip, then decide, okay, I'll go that side. Decide which one you want to do. Maybe the same one again. Decide which one to do. Change the other one. So, you know, warming up with these sort of linkages and where they connect is something I certainly favour. And so suddenly Soto-Uke becomes really a challenge to find these things, apply, not just apply them and be able to do them, but know that, you know, you can refine these almost indefinitely. And that's where our Kihon becomes really great. Okay, thanks very much.